Yvette here. Welcome back to my sewing room. Today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Jalie's raglan top pattern, number 3245, the one that you're seeing right here. This beautiful viscose jersey that I got from that sewing place in Newmarket. And I'm going to be teaching this class on Zoom for them. And so this is the sample that I made for the class. So I made it, it went together really well. It's a very fast and easy pattern to make. But when I put it on, I felt that the neckline was a little bit lower than what I really liked. So I decided that I needed to alter it. So when you look at the pattern, because it's a raglan, it's not just a matter of redrawing the front neckline, because the top or the front of the sleeve actually is part of the front neckline as well. So there's your raglan seams right there. So in order to alter this, I had to raise the front neckline, but I also have to make a slight adjustment to the raglan or the top of the raglan sleeve. So I'm going to show you how I did that. I have everything laid out in my work area. Pick my pen up off the floor and let's move over to here where I'm working. Turn the camera. So to prepare for this, I traced off 3 pieces of my pattern, or parts of 3 pieces. I traced off the top of the back. I traced the top of the sleeve. There's the back of it, there's the front. I labeled everything. I drew in the actual sewing line, the seam line. That's important when you make alterations. I also traced off the top of the front, but I did reverse it. The original was like facing in this direction, and it didn't match up without me having to use the pattern piece upside down. So this one has been mirror imaged. So to start this alteration, we need to pin our pattern pieces together on the sewing lines. So I'll just put one on top of the other. I did trace these off on the medical paper so I can see through it. It's strong and it can handle the pins. So what I'm doing here is I'm lining up the sewing line and I'm lining up the actual neckline. Then I'm going to put 2 pins in. 1 pin doesn't hold it properly, so you need 2. I'm doing the same thing with the back. We're not altering the back at all, but we do need to know what the back measurement is so that when we cut our new neckband, it's the right size. Because we're making the front higher, it makes the neckline smaller. So just about there. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to extend the center front line. So just using any old ruler at all, I'm lining it up with the center front line and I'm just extending it. Now when I look at my dress form, I think I need to raise the front neckline by 1.5 inches. So I'm putting the ruler back on and I'm making a little mark at the 1.5 inch mark. The first inch of the front neckline needs to be at a 90-degree angle, so that you've got a perfect square. That way you don't get funny looking little points at your neckline. So I'm going to draw that first inch perfectly straight. Then I'm going to get my dress curve, and this is an old one that my mother had, and I still use it an awful lot. I'm sure there's others on the market now, so I'm not going to talk about brand names. All I'm looking for is something that I can trace. It's going to give me a nice curve in this area here. So I'm just going to lay it on top. I need to go from my 1 inch straight line to somewhere about 1.5 inches to 2 inches up onto the sleeve. So I'm just going to move it around a little bit, twist it and turn it until I get something that I think I like the shape of, and I'm liking where it is right there. So I'm going to hold on to it and just trace the line with my pen. So this is going to be my new cutting line for my neck. A sewing line will be 1/4 inch further in, so I could draw that in if I liked with. I can probably eyeball 1/4 inch pretty well these days, so it's somewhere around there. So now it's just a matter of making my new pattern. But before I do, I'm going to measure my neckline so that I know how long to make my neckband. So to do that, I'm going to take my measuring tape, I'm going to lay it on its end on the seam line. So that's 1/4 inch in from that line I just drew, all the way along until I get to the center back. Almost there. So at the center back, I've got 13 inches. This is half of my neck. So my neck measurement is going to be 26 inches. Plenty big enough to go over my head, no problem. To determine how big this neckband has to be, this stretchy knit, this viscose jersey, is very stretchy and it's got pretty good memory. So I'm going to just pick a number out of the sky that I know has worked for me many, many times, and I'm going to use 0.8. So I'm going to go to the calculator. I'm going to put 26 times 0.8, and whatever the answer is, that's how long my neckband is going to be. So now to finish the pattern, I'm going to take the pins out. And we're just going to redraw. The back was fine. We didn't do anything to it. The front here has a bit of a curve. I'm just going to put it now on top of the other one so that I can trace that neckline through the paper just to here. So that's going to be my new cutting line. So now I'm just going to extend my seam lines. This is the sleeve. I'm laying my ruler on, lining up the original cutting line and just taking it that little bit further. And then with the front, I'm doing the same thing along the sewing line or the cutting line of the front of the top, laying my ruler, and then I'm going to just cut off a little bit off the top here so that when our new sewing lines meet, I'm going to put my red pen somewhere here, so my new 1/4 inch line is going to be right around there. I'm just going to do it a little more accurately just so that that's where our new sewing lines are going to meet, right there. So you need to have about 1/4 inch extra. The rest of this can be cut off. And there I'm all ready to make my sample. So I'm going to make another one and I'll post a picture. I'll also add a picture to this video to show you what that top looks like on me and why I thought that it needed to be raised. All right, see you again. Bye-bye.